Yo, what is up everybody? Before we start this video, I want to say real quick, this will be a very long video if I'm correct. I don't know. I'm not done with it yet. Obviously, this is the first thing I record. But it probably will be my longest moveset video by far. If not, then it'll be pretty close. I want to start by saying, stick with me. Some of these drawings aren't great, but I did try pretty hard on them actually. These look the most accurate that I can think of anyway. Some of it's traced. That'll be pretty obvious when it is. And yeah, also before we get started, I want to explain which version of the character I'm doing, just so nobody's confused. This is specifically supposed to be the one right at the end of Ultimate Alien Force when he gets the new Omnitrix, but it's not his Omniverse design. Because I don't like that one as much, and I didn't want to draw it a lot like I had to do here. So it's the UAF design with the white watch Omnitrix. So yeah, so anyway, with all that out of the way, let's get to Ben 10. Now for Ben, I had to come up with a new archetype, like bruiser or tank or support or etc. And I had one idea. That idea was oddball, but I wanted to see if anybody else had suggestions. And so I made a poll on my Twitter account that I have, and it exists and is real. And over there, I came up with two other ones to go along with it, as sort of maybe people might like these as well. I'm not thinking that Oddball would completely lose. So Shapeshifter won. So from now on, if I ever have any character that requires this archetype, I will consider them a Shapeshifter. Now, I didn't really explain it very well over there, but this is for any character that from now on that I will do that doesn't go in any of the categories, because they're technically changing between them. So for Ben, for instance, Way Big is a tank, but Heatblast is not. So, you know, it changes between each alien. Now, I will say I did not come up with all of them to have like 5 different ones. I think it kind of balances out. Some of the, like, there is some support elements in some, and some bruiser elements in some, but it's mostly mages, honestly, with some tanks sprinkled in. So you'll get to find out that throughout the video. His neutral grounded attack, and his air attack as well, will be a charging punch. This will work like pretty much every neutral attack in the game, where they just charge up a single hit. His side will be, just like most other characters, a flurry of punches, and it will end with a kick. His up attack will be a side kick that will be aimed up in the air, and if he's up in the air when he does it, it will go a little more above him than when he's on the ground. His down attack will be a sliding kick, where he will slide across the ground and do a little kick under. This will trip opponents up in the air and set up for combos and break shields. For his specials, as you know, his neutral special is the character wheel, but his down special is a scan. If you are on the ground, he will scan the opponents. This will work kind of like Arya's face stealing, where after a while, you can turn into that character. So it'll unlock an 11th alien that will work for any character. I know that's not 100% like how Ben 10 works, where it has to be a different species, but I think it works good enough. If you are in the air, however, he will do a downward kick towards the ground, similar to Batman. For his side special, he will do a flying side kick. This will do... For his up special, he will do an uppercut for both the ground and in the air. If you are in the air, it will bump you up a little bit, and if you're on the ground, he'll bump up, but then immediately return to the ground. Kind of like Garnet's up attack, on the final third hit. Now, back to the character wheel. If he selects an alien, it will do a green flash, which will take us over to for Heatblast's neutral special, he will chuck a fireball. This will ignite an opponent if hit with it, but if not, it won't do any damage. For his side special, he will make a fire column. This will shoot right out in front of him and will do the same. It will ignite opponents if the amount of fire is dealt enough. If you're in the air, however, his side special will be a fire glide. This will glide him slowly towards the ground. If hit with this move, it will also do ignite damage. So look out for that. For his up special, he will do the same thing as the glide, but instead will go up. If you're on the ground, he'll simply do a fire vortex around him instead of going up with it, but if in the air, he will go slightly up. For his down special, he will throw a fireball straight on the ground, which will create a spot on the ground where fire will sit, just like the Iron Giant, or I think Superman can do it as well. If you're in the air, however, he can put 2 down at once, and will go up slightly when he does. Accelerate is next, and for his side special, he will charge up a run. This will work pretty much exactly like Velma's, except for he'll go a lot faster, and the charge up time is a lot less. But he also doesn't grab people, and instead just runs through them, doing damage and knockback while he does. He can run back and forth instead of Velma's just straight ahead, so once you're moving, you're not directly going that way the entire time if you don't want to. This works in the air and on the ground, so use it whenever you want. For his neutral special, he will do a tornado where he will spin in place very quickly, and anyone caught will be sucked up into it, allowing him to do some combos. For his up special, he will do a vortex where he will spin so fast that the air will push him up into the air. If you're in the air, he will instead shoot that gust of wind up along with him after he's reached the peak of his jump. For his down special, he will place down a checkpoint. This will work pretty much exactly like Garnet's, except again, he won't grab them, so he goes a lot faster. And he won't do any damage on the way there either. He basically instantly teleports there no matter where he is on the stage. For Upchuck's neutral special, if you do not have any projectiles in you at the time, you will stick your tongue out, very short in front of you. This will eat any projectiles coming your way. And depending on the strength of the projectile, so if Batman's Batarang is just tapped to be thrown, then it will do less, and if it's held down all the way, it will do the most. It will suck up that amount into Upchuck's mouth. And once pushed again, he will shoot that projectile back out as his acid bomb thing? I don't know. But nonetheless, it will be shot out. His sideways special is the same thing, but instead it will go a little farther, but will also not be able to be held like the neutral. It will go longer, it will go faster, won't be able to be held, and will always do the medium amount of damage when sucking up in a projectile. It will also actually do damage instead of doing no damage like the other one, but you also lose a lot of the power if there was any. This also, if there is a projectile in you already, will shoot a small version of the projectile. This will always be smaller because it will also always be faster. But also, I didn't mention this, if you use the side special to suck up a projectile, it will also be small, but if it's shot through the normal means, it won't be as fast. So do look out for that. For his down special, he will use his tongues there as well. They won't go as far as the first or second, but they do go on both sides of him this time. If it's sucked up like this, it will always have an explosion. So if he shoots it to either of the other ways, after he's ate it through this way, he will shoot an explosion directly in front of him. It won't go far, it will always go right in front of him. It'll also do the same thing if he shoots it this way, no matter how it is eaten. But if it is eaten through the sideways special, it will be a smaller explosion. For his up air, he will use his tongues like a grapple hook. So it will do damage in front and above him, but it will grab onto the stage, the side of it, and will pull him to it. Now we're on to Way Big, and his neutral special is his laser beam. I couldn't find the name for this for some reason. I don't know why, but I just couldn't find it. But he will put his arms up and shoot his laser in front of him. This will do the same in the air or on the ground. His side special will be a grab, where he will grab the opponent that is directly in front of him. This will work on Iron Giant, by the way. It'll just look a little weird because it won't shrink him down. And once you have him, if you use the side special again, he will just punch directly in front of him and smash them on the ground. You can actually do any move once grabbing an opponent, like punching straight down and doing a bigger explosion, which is his down special, or when in the air using his down special, throw the opponent below you and double kick them. Without them, he'll just do the kick. Or you can do his up special, which is an uppercut, where he will uppercut them up into the air. Way Big will be a lot slower than Iron Giant, but will actually have a lot stronger moves. I was also thinking of him to be a little bigger and a little heavier, but I don't know if that would work necessarily. So for Jetray, since he can fly in the show, I thought it would be cool if he could stagnate in the air when holding the jump button. Now, for this, I also decided to give him a drawback where he can actually not move while he's doing this. He will stay in the exact spot in the air. This isn't necessarily a good thing, but it can be if used in the right situation. It could also be very detrimental to him, allowing for an opponent to easily knock him into the blast zone. For his neutral special, he will shoot his laser eyes directly in front of him. They won't go infinitely, like they realistically should, and will instead go a set distance. But will do a lot of damage. It won't do very much knockback at all, but will do a lot of damage, like I said. If in the air, it will be down slightly, so do look out for that. For his side special, if you are on the ground, he will shoot his tail laser, which, if you didn't know, it's pretty cool. You should watch the show. It's pretty good. I think he might use it once. But if you were in the air and use his side special, he will do a very fast dive sideways. His up special will be similar to his side special while you're in the air, and will have him go straight up in the air. This can be angled slightly left or right, but is essentially up. For his down special, he will shoot his laser straight down. This will do the exact same thing as all the other lasers, except for when it hits the ground, it will have a spread across it. If you are close enough, of course. Similar to how Iron Giant's works when he does that move that I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. Similar to Jetray, Big Chill will be able to float in the air, except for this time it will work more similarly to Bugs Bunny or Steven Universe, where he can move around but isn't stagnant in the air and will instead fall slower. I was thinking more of the Bugs Bunny route because Bugs Bunny actually stays in the air a little bit longer than Steven, so I was thinking more of that speed. For their neutral special, Big Chill will go intangible and can move around while doing this. He can stand on the ground and jump and all of that while using this move. The only thing he can't do is do other moves because he will actually be completely invulnerable while in this state. He can't hold this for longer than 3 seconds though before he runs out for the entire rest of the duration of this transformation. That will change later when I introduce the perks, but for now, that's how it will work. If you are touching somebody when this happens, it will start to freeze them, just like how Superman's freezing works, but it's while you're touching them. If a projectile touches you while this happens, it will freeze the projectile like Superman's freeze breath. This will work while in the air or on the ground. His side special will be freeze breath, just like Superman's, and will also have the same freezing mechanic. This will work on the ground or in the air. His up special is a wing smash, where he will smash wings above him, where he doesn't move at all, and then once that's done, his wings go back down and he will fly very high up in the air. For his down special, he will shoot the freeze breath down towards the ground. If you're close enough to the ground, it will spread out just like Iron Giant and Jetray. Now it's time to talk about Jury Rig, which is our first real mage, because up until this point, the other mages were kind of supports in a way, or bruisers in a way, more than pure mages. This is our first pure mage. Jury Rig's neutral special will have him go through a toolbox, ripping out nuts and bolts and screws and all that sort of stuff. This is for his passive ability, where all of his moves, specials anyway, will use these parts. Each move he does will use one automatically, and the more you use it, or the longer you charge it, or whatever, it will use more. Except for the first move you can use it with, which is his side special, where he will shoot a plasma gun. This move will always let you use it at least the uncharged amount, which is a very small blast bolt. But if you have parts, you can charge it up. If you charge it up for 3 seconds, it will do a slightly bigger shot that goes a little faster. That will take 1 part to shoot. If you charge it up for 5 seconds or longer, because you can hold the charge for as long as you want, it will use 3 parts and shoot a big blast that will do an explosion if hit. This one will go a little slower than the first shot, but will explode at the end and do knockback. The other 2 shots will not. For his up special, he will use his jetpack if he's in the air. This jetpack will use a part per 2 seconds while using it, but you can technically use it as long as you want, all the way up until the blast zone, or until you run out of parts. If you're on the ground though, he will throw a bomb up into the air. This bomb will be bigger depending on how many parts you have. It will always use all of your parts. It will only go up to 5 parts maximum, but will still use all of them, no matter how many you have. So do look out for that. His down special will be the same in the air or on the ground, and will be the exact same as the bomb, but instead we'll use a wind-up toy. This toy, like I said, will be bigger the more parts you use, except for this one has no cap. Parts you can have at a time. The bigger it is though, the slower it is, so that it will always look like it's going the same speed across the board. It will grab the opponent and explode once it reaches them. So do look out. Humungousaur was a little hard to figure out specials for. A lot of his moves would have worked better as attacks, but I digress. For his first special, which is his neutral special, Grow. This will work like Jake's up special, where he has a set amount of growing he can do, and it will take away that amount depending on how long you're holding the button. Except for here, you only have one shot. This will work kind of like Garnet's neutral special, where the longer you're holding it, the more it will charge up. But for Humungousaur, it will be the amount of size he has. This will make him heavier and slower and deal more damage, while the bigger he is. But once you let go, you have to wait about 4 seconds before you can start charging it again. So once you have decided how big you are, that is how big you are until that is done recharging. For his side special, he will do a ground smash, which will send a shockwave going in front of him. This will work on the ground, but in the air, he will do a shoulder bash. This will do more damage and have the same amount of range as the ground smash, but it won't be as fast either. For his down special, he will do a tail smack. This will work in the air or the ground, but on the ground it will land behind him, and in the air it will go more below him. For his up special, he will do a double clap. This will do a shockwave above him, just like his side special. Feedback is next, and he was actually my first one that I thought of, funnily enough, even though I never watched Omniverse really. For Feedback, his neutral special will have him charge up his moves. Again, this will work kind of like Garnet, but it will put a force field around him that when projectiles go into it, instead of stopping and letting her punch it back, Feedback will instead suck it up into him as energy. He can charge up to 20 energy. That will depend on how much charged the attacks are, just like Upchuck. The more charged up he is, the more damage his attacks will do. This charge goes away, though, while you're attacking, so you need to constantly replenish it. Feedback is only really good against mage characters that use a lot of projectiles. This move will work on all of Bugs' moves, including the rocket, which doesn't work on Garnet's, but it will work here and will instantly charge Feedback all the way up. But you have to be on the ground to use it. If you're not on the ground, it will do nothing. For his side special, he will shoot lightning. This will degenerate his power a lot faster than anything else. This will work on the ground or in the air. His up special will have him shoot his wires in front of him or in any angled direction and will grab players. If you are in the air and use this move and grab a player or the side of the stage, it will pull him towards them, allowing him to essentially teleport. It has pretty long range while on the ground, while in the air it doesn't have as good of range. His down special will punch the ground and put lightning on it. This will work like Garnet's moves. I know I'm using that a lot today, but that's just kind of a good way to explain it. But instead of it bringing them closer to you, he can instead hold it there for as long as he wants or until his power is out, and it will just shock them on the ground. They won't be jumped up in the air, and it does very little damage. This takes away almost no power while you're doing it, and so you can rack up a lot of damage doing this, if you have enough saved up. But, of course, eventually you will run out of power, and at full charge, if you started the attack immediately, I would say it only does about 20 damage total, which is about 1 hit worth of it. But it also stalls for time, so it's good for that if you need it. On to our last alien, before we get to the perks, it's Gravattack. So for Gravattack, a lot of his moves are having him floating in the air and doing something. I don't know if that's necessarily how he works in the show. I've never watched Omniverse, but I do know he's one of the coolest aliens from that series, so I wanted to put him in here. For his neutral special, he will place a gravity field. This field can be placed literally anywhere in the entire space of the board, but you can only have one at a time. And just like Batman's smoke bomb, it won't stay there forever and will need to be recharged after. Once placed, all players that enter this, including your partner, will slow down and their jumps will go less high. If this is in the air and you fall into the bubble, you will fast fall immediately out of it. You cannot stop this from happening if you fall into it. For his side special, he will turn into his ball and repel all opponents away from him. There will be a similar ring effect around him so that you know where you can and can't go to be repelled. It will work sort of like being knocked back, but it will be more like you got pushed by wind instead of not being able to attack or move or anything. Because you will be able to do those things while in this state of being pushed away. For his up special, it will be the same thing, except it will work on him and him alone. It will push him away from enemies or platforms. So if you are on top directly above a platform and use it, it will send you straight up. But if you are sort of towards the edge of a platform, it will push you slightly away from it because it works like a wave. For his down special, he will pull himself directly towards the ground. It will work just like any other straight down move and will pull him to the closest ground. So if he's off the side of the stage, it will pull him towards the side of it instead of on top. It's perk time, baby. So for the perks, I'm going to start with the one that I came up with, and then I'm going to move to the ones that Twitter came up with. Just because I think it makes more sense to do it like that. But anyway, here we go. I will mention the people that made them, by the way. So for the first one, we will be doing Master Control. What this will do is it will replace every alien's down special with the character wheel. So if you activate this as your perk, you will lose a special for all of the aliens, making them a little less useful, but you can also change between them if the situation suits for it. This will not get rid of the timer though, like normal Master Control, but it also won't speed up or slow down the timer while changing either. It will let you quick change, as someone tried to put it on Twitter, which, yeah, technically you're right, dude. I like you're technically right, but I like that it sounds better and it lets me do this cool icon. So that was Master Control. The second one, I did not come up with the name because I'm an idiot, but I did come up with the idea. The name was made by @IDGenie on Twitter. I will have that in the description of the video. And he said I should call it the Lifeform Lock. So that's what we're going to call it. This is the Lifeform Lock, which will sort of be the opposite of what the Master Control lets you do, and instead will remove the timer. Once you select an alien, you are that alien until you are KO'd, or until you KO a player. Then you will be changed back into Ben with a fully recharged Omnitrix, which will allow you to immediately select another alien. I did the turning you back and immediately being able to switch again thing, just in case people wanted to switch out of that. And yeah, that's basically all that's for. It lets you stay as an alien the whole time. That way, you don't have to play as stupid old Ben, because Ben kind of sucks. In my idea, he's kind of weak and horrible, but his aliens are awesome, which I think that's most people's idea when they're thinking of Ben for this game. So yeah, that was Lifeform Lock. Thanks, IDGenie. So for the third one, I came up with the name, and this other person on Twitter came up with the idea. The person's name is Kevin11 Multiversus. I will have them as well in the description. They're a 4Multiversus account, so you should go follow them if you want Kevin11 in Multiversus. And I might do a moveset for them at some point. Who knows? But they came up with the idea, and the name for it is the Last Resort Protocol. That's what I've called it. And what it will do is it will activate once Ben is going to die. If he's going to get knocked out, once per stock, he can be ejected out of the blast zone and back towards the stage. And will also immediately transform him into a random alien. If he's Ben, it will obviously pick one of the 10, but if he is already an alien, it will pick one of the other 10, not the one you already have, or it could turn you back into Ben with an automatically recharged Omnitrix. I thought that sounded a little better than what he was saying, and I even said what he was saying, but I changed it a little bit where it's not if you're about to get knocked off, but it's if you actually were going to get KO'd. Once per stock, it will revive you, basically. It only works once, and it doesn't change how much damage is done to you, so someone could probably immediately attack you again if they really wanted to and knew you had that perk on. And for this final one, the idea was kind of given to me also by ID Genie. He said that we should do an Omnitrix Self-Destruct perk, but instead I kind of switched around to when you transform back and forth between Ben or an alien, it will do an explosion around him doing damage, sort of like how Bugs' teleport tunnel thing works, that perk. Pretty much just that perk. So with all that out of the way, I think Ben is now complete. I don't really talk about variants in these videos, if anybody's wondering. I'm going to save that for another video where I just kind of talk about variants for all the characters all in one go. So, I hope you guys liked the video. It's pretty good. I hope. I don't know. I'm just doing voiceover right now, so I don't know if it's actually good or not. If you're not following me on my Twitter account, go do that. How did you even find this video? Oh, wait. I was making these videos way before I made that Twitter account. But anyway, it's a Connie for Multiversus account. I was going to wait and reveal it, that I was doing it to on my Connie video, but I don't really want to wait another month. So here you go. Peace, guys.